Yoru's deck picking. And the other thing is that Yoru's coming off of eliminating Riley and Pedro in his last two sets, right? Tourist is coming off of his first loss of a set in this competition. So you also wonder momentum-wise if Tourist can bounce right back.
Evo Witch from Tourist and an Evo Snowball. We have an Evo Bomber and Evo Snowball from Yoru. Once again, starting off the match with this very interesting Goblin Drill, Goblin Hut deck. Tourist, on the other hand, looking like maybe even Giant Graveyard with the Skeleton Army. Very matchup dependent and aggressively style deck here.
Yeah, and we saw this deck kind of match up against GY earlier, although that was like an interesting game that happened. But what I was talking about when we saw that initially was just there does seem to be a lot of graveyard responses. But on the other side of that, will there be the DPS that Yoru needs to take care of these giants? And that Berserker plus Bomber could just be enough.
Bowler hits the Scientist twice here, so I'm assuming once we see the ability, immediate arrows drop down to make that 2 elixir ability value a lot less useful. And Skeleton Army left-hand side, this is a smart play. This is going to
really smart play.
Yeah, it applies pressure, but it also heals the Witch and keeps it full health. And you can see Yoru just, I mean, what else can he do except just, I don't know, pain over how much damage he's taken.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, what a great play there from Tourist. Love the construction of the deck. Gets that Skarmy out opposite lane, as you said, perfect time. Heals the Witch, creates pressure, pulls Elixir away, gets damage in the opposite lane. You never want to go to a 2-tower game, really, when you're running GY. Giant GY, just a little bit successful, but nice for him to get so much damage on the right-hand side and just a little bit on the left.
Wow, and then he immediately...
Tower down.
Yeah, he just immediately goes straight back in with the Giant Graveyard. Berserker, she does decent, but it's just not enough. And Yoru with one last chance to really make something happen, going for the Gobstein, drill in the other lane, dual lane pressure. But, I mean, knowing Tourist, he's not going to have any problems defending this.
Yeah, arrows come out from both players. Decent damage in there for Yoru. Does get the tower below 1,000 HP, and that's, you know, that's some of the greatness of that Berserker there. Wow, high minions on top of 2 ground-only units.
Evo Snowball out
snowballs
from
in both directions.
The Goblins do get damage, though, but there's no big spell. Maybe if he has Evo Bomber in cycle?
I was going to say,
there it is.
I was going to say the Bomber.
One hit, the Skeleton Army distracts. I don't think Arrow Snowball is enough, so he has to go in for another drill. And Tourist knows it, though. He's going straight in for the Giant Graveyard. So even if he loses his tower, he can get another tower back.
Yeah, I mean, I would have still loved to maybe just see a little elixir spent by Tourist down there. But still, 1,000 HP to 2133. We do actually get to that 2-tower situation that I was just talking about. And as I said, this is better to have Giant GY than Splash Yard, in my opinion, in this moment.
For sure. Yeah, Giant Graveyard definitely excels in this sort of situation. But to be honest, Yoru went from having no chance to definitely a solid chance to win this. It's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. Ooh.
Nice Skarmy there, ready to go. Almost looking like it was probably hovered, waiting for that Goblin Stein in the pocket.
Yeah, and the Gobstein ability goes off, which means the 2 elixir was spent, but no value from it. So Yoru just down a straight over 2 elixir here, and he's trying to set up defense for this Giant Graveyard, but Tourist knows that, so he's just going in for the Giant, the minions, the arrows. He's just trying to attempt to get 1 or 2 Giant hits, and he gets it.
Gets the Giant hits, 2 bowlers on the board. Evo Witch behind, very, very healthy. And as of right now, I think we're just delaying the inevitable. 261 remains, Witch on the board. And it, still pulling Elixir out of Yoru here. Another Giant in the pocket, you can imagine. And there it is. Evo Snowball to close things up. And we're going to game number 2.
Yeah, Skelly connects. Game number 2.
Yesterday, and obviously a little bit today too, but I feel like we spent just a hair more on it yesterday with the Witch. How are you feeling about her in general? I know that we said she feels pretty balanced. Now we're seeing her used a ton throughout the weekend, but do you feel like your opinion on her has changed at all, or do you think she's still in a good spot?
I will say that I will stick with what I said, that she's fairly balanced. Like, there are cards that can counter her, but because of that, she's just kind of rock paper scissorsy, if that makes sense. It's very similar actually to Heal Spell back in the day, where we had a rock paper scissors situation between Three Musky Heal Spell, Graveyard Poison, and then also another deck that counted the 3M. I forget, it was literally like 6 years ago, but it's very similar in that situation where healing cards in general kind of make a bit of a rock paper scissors between spells and certain decks.
So Tourist here coming out with, I'm trying to go back. Yeah, this is the deck that Yoru started his competition with yesterday. So very interesting to see Tourist bring that out against him, especially because that deck was not successful against the deck that Yoru's running right now. I mean, the only difference was that Riley had lightning instead of poison, but already Tourist playing it better than Yoru did.
Yeah, I mean, the Evo Barbs of the Bridge, I was like, there's no way this is gonna work. He has Ice Wiz and he has Golden Knight, but then I saw the Heal Spirit, and what happens is the Golden Knight, as is dashing through the Barbarians, the Heal Spirit will jump before the Golden Knight's able to make it to it, and ends up healing all the Evo Barbs, and immediately Evo Battle Ram. Tourist knew that interaction was going to happen. He was not scared of his Evo Barbs dying, and he continued to apply pressure, even with the Golden Knight after that, getting so much damage.
And Evo Battle Ram coming in here. Evo Battle Ram, also one of the more unique Evos in the game, can be so dominant, but also pretty easily controlled.
Gob Gang Ice was dropping on defense. Mother Witch does need to be blocked before it locks into the gang. So Evo Mortar is going to drop. The Golden Knight's going to drop. And this is one chance that Yoru has to get even more value to try to make this comeback. And he looks like he might be making it happen. Can his Evo Mortar lock?
Evo Mortar doesn't lock. Mother Witch puts in just enough work. Second Mortar comes down. Royal Ghost is there to distract. Now the Piggy will distract. Now the Golden Knight comes down to distract. Two Mortars still on the board. Nothing out of the Evo. And great job here from Tourist creating damage in the opposite lane. Remember, guys, Tourist is known as one of the best bridge spam players in the game. We haven't seen him run bridge spam this entire weekend. And right now we're seeing a bit of domination. Dangerous, though.
Oh, wow. The Mortar gets a connection. So does the Miner and the Gang. All of a sudden, this game's a lot more tied up than it was just a second ago.
Poison right at the bridge on top of that Barb, plus Evo Ram behind. Royal Ghost cycled opposite lane. A lot of poison value there given to Yoru from Tourist, but now more needs to be spent.
Okay, Spirit Ops counter pushing. Golden Knight on defense, and we see another pressure in another lane. I really like what Tourist is doing to switch lanes, apply lots of pressure, and try to hold on this damage advantage, because his only big spell, not even big spell, his only spell is the Rage.
And Golden Knight needs to get focused on. There it is. Nice high Goblin Gang. Late Heal Spirit, though. A little too late there from Tourist. Doesn't get those Barbs healed back up. Going for that killing blow. Now it goes again. Royal Ghost Battle Ram behind. Barbs opposite lane at the bridge. Nice high Mortar here to pull everything plus the Barb Barrel. Defense locked down for Yoru.
Heal Spirit over the river. Miner inbound. The Golden Knight ends up dashing to the tower, though. Wow. With the Rage, Golden Knight gets another hit. But it's still not over unless the Battle Ram connects. Gob Gang drops a Heal Spirit, heals, and it connects.
You can slip in this one elixir card that didn't even exist a few years ago and has completely changed the rhythm of the game. So great call there, Juice. As we get into game number 3 here, Tourist goes the distance against former world champion Ruben, loses in game number 5, gets sent to the lower bracket. Now a rookie face-off that is very one-sided. Tourist up 2-0, could take the set here with one more win.
Tourist started with Skeletons here in this matchup. That could really mean anything, but it definitely means it's a cycle deck. We could see Royal Giant, Hog Rider, Minor, or even Goblin Drill for Tourist here. And that's another thing I want to talk about is it does seem like Tourist is actually winning the game of the deck picks right now. Maybe not in this last match, but still, the Mother Witch is a great pick here, and I really like his gameplay. But the other thing to mention is that he's really doing a great job of saving those really important cards like Skeletons, log, even the big spells like Fireball and Lightning that are going to be super helpful for him in this game number 3 and maybe 4.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point that you make when you look at the spell power and the cards that are used on both sides of the boards. You know, Tourist is doing a really great job of just using cards and spells that that we haven't seen a lot of in our best of 3s, and I think that's a great way to start looking at where you start to build your decks for games 4 and games 5. So here we go. Looking like RG, bottom of your screen, top of your screen, we're seeing this combination, which we've seen many times before this weekend with the Boss Bandit plus the MK, and now a Hog Rider comes out. Shouldn't get any hits.
Yeah, great recognition from Tourist, realizing the second Hunter hit was too far away to deal maximum damage, using the E-Spirit and Barb Barrel to really mitigate here. Skeleton's going to drop for the Goblins now, and I think the biggest thing that Tourist is going to have to watch out for in this matchup is that Evo Mega Knight. As long as he can get a Fishman pull on that Evo Mega Knight when on offense and use the Evo Hunter to snare it, preventing the value, he's going to be in a really good spot.
Oh, and that's a really almost beautiful zap there from Yoru, trying to make sure that that Fish Boy doesn't take the Firecracker off the board, but ends up wasting a spell where he needs it.
Evo Hunter just getting so much value here. First snaring the Evo Mega Knight, preventing anything from happening, and now snaring the Inferno Dragon. It's one of the coolest synergies.
Unsettling.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's just such an interesting interaction, and it's also one of the coolest synergies to see the Evo Hunter be able to snare air units to the ground and allow Fisherman to pull.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say basically the same thing. I mean, the Fisherman Hunter combo is something we've talked about since 2018.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was gonna mention is it's just so unsettling to see the Inferno Dragon on the ground. You almost feel like sad for it.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of depressing to see, but you know, that's the power of the Evos in Clash Royale currently, and that's why we see Tourist cycling so quickly. Now with an Evo Hunter on one side, with an Evo RG in the other, realizing the Evo Mega Knight's going to drop on the left lane. Yoru with no Inferno Drag or Mega Knight defense, with a pre-Fisherman for the Boss Bandit as well. A zap to try to delay the pull, but the RG is just slaying this right-hand lane.
Dude, that was exactly what I love about RG players. And a nice push here, though. You see a little bit more being spent on the left-hand side because of a slight miss on the Inferno. Now the Hog Rider gets in on the right. And you can see Yoru shaking his head, maybe going, man, like, without those mistakes, I'd really be in this game. But now 483 to 1028. Imagine that's probably lightning in the last spot, as we haven't seen a big spell come out yet.
Okay, good block of the bridge. Monk will not tank, but it will deflect. Yor calls the good game because he does not have a way to distract this Roll Giant. RG with the hit, lining inbound, and Tourist
beat the former world champion in a best of 10. Sorry, good luck. You know, like, absolutely crazy there. And very curious to see how this best of 5 shakes out just a bit differently. We'll see if the strategy comes out like we saw with Tourist in that last best of 5 against Yoru, maybe using a little bit less popular combinations, but starting off with Golden Knight, obviously very, very popular this weekend. Inferno Dragon, not quite as popular, whereas Ruben is going right down the lane for what has been used maybe the second most, third most this weekend, and looking like Mortar Control here.
Interesting. So, yeah, Mortar Control from Ruben into Tourist with a Bowler, a Golden Knight, an Inferno Drag, and a Witch. I think that Tourist is using not a second, but now a third kind of a Graveyard deck here. This is going to be interesting. I believe it's going to be a Graveyard Freeze Tornado variation.
Yeah, that's really... I was just like, where's the synergy with the Golden Knight? But if you talk about Freeze and Graveyard, that makes a lot more sense. There's the Freeze, just like you talked about, Juice. It's the reason they pay you the big bucks.
The weird thing about the deck is the Ice Spirit, though. But if you do think about it, the Evo Ice Spirit actually also has good synergy with Tornado, allowing to... the Tornado allows everything to get grouped together, so the Evo Ice Spirit can get really good freeze value on top of everything.
Yeah, there's this streamer that I watch. His name's Juicy J, and I've seen him do this really great combo of NATOing everything together. Is it... Now, the sequencing of it, I don't know if it really matters every single time, but I think I've seen you do it where it's the Ice Spirit... Is it the Ice Spirit and then the NATO?
Yeah, that's usually what I would do. I would do the Ice Spirit first, and then Tornado in quick succession, mainly just because if you do the Tornado first, you run the risk of everything kind of spreading out again before the Ice Spirit's able to drop down.
Exactly. And then the Ice Spirit, because you're playing it first, obviously it's got that split-second delay on drop. Get the NATO out. The NATO is instantaneous. Boom, boom. You've just defended 7, 8, 9 elixir like I've seen for 4, which is pretty incredible.
And here's the big change of the tornado that happened fairly recently. It just doesn't take out Spear Gobs, and it doesn't even damage the Goblins very well. So great defense from Ruben. He's immediately counter pushing with the Golden Knight dash. And we see Tourist actually very frustrated with the freeze just not being able to work. Really upset about this game number 1.
Yeah, and you know what? This is now the question, and there it is. Yeah, you see it. It's everywhere. It's the first time we've seen Tourist not smiling, putting down his phone, actually gesturing with frustration. And now we have to see if the tilt is real. That's what I'm very curious about.
Right. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, but that's only one game. Thankfully, this is a best of 5 instead of a best of 3. So there's a lot of opportunity for Tourist to come back, and he's all smiles again. So I think that he's going to have some chances for sure.
Yeah, happy to see the smiles back out on Tourist. Even saw them at the very, very end of that game after he'd kind of thrown his phone down. And if that doesn't activate King, it doesn't. And that is another frustrating start to game number 2. Still smiles about it, but I'd definitely be a little bit annoyed.
So Roll Hogs versus Tourist using the Roll Giant. I think that this is one matchup we talked about yesterday where you asked me what decks can counter Roll Giant. I think that if played perfectly, this Roll Hogs deck can do well. The problem is that he's allowed this Monk to cross, which deflects the cannon, the queen, and yeah, if you watch Riley or Muhammad Light play this matchup, a lot of the time we see some early queen abilities forcing out early monks so that the monk can't tank for the RG once it's crossed.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point that you make, because a lot of times I think players see Archer Queen, and then I think people see Monk, and then immediately their brain kind of shuts down. They're like, well, great, I can't win now. And yeah, I think that there's definitely a way to play through it. Yeah, I usually feel that way, to be honest.
But on the other hand, Tourist doesn't have the Ghost version too. So at least the Roll Hogs are going to provide a lot of offensive value in this matchup as well. The other big thing to note, though, is Ruben is using the Barbarian Barrel instead of the Log. I mean, you talk about it all the time where the Log is way better versus a Roll Giant just because that knockback is so important for stunning the RG whenever it's locked on your building, on defense, or even your tower.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Ruben kind of uses the delivery in conjunction with the barrel and the Ice Spirit to kind of stop the big pileups at the bridge.
Monk here is back in cycle, but the Evil Ice Spirit might be able to make some plays on the defense. I just don't love the Evil Ice Spirit placement there. I would like to play on the left side and the right side there to kite the Monk away from where your cannon is to prevent that value. But I mean, look at this. The Ice Spirit's getting snared. The RGs are in both lanes. The delivery's going to drop down late. But once again, without the Log, the Bar Barrel drops down. It doesn't push the RG off the tower.
Wow.
So it just continues to get massive damage.
Yeah, I mean, that was really beautiful stuff in both lanes. Just pulling out just enough elixir from Ruben and then really punishing by going opposite. So many RGs on the board, dealing with the double cannon. I mean, that's one thing that you see a lot with this Royal Hogs deck, as you said, if when it's played perfectly, it can match up pretty well against RG. The cycle, the AQ being on the board, that being able to get 2-3 cannons out for whenever there's 2-3 Royal Giants, but immediately lose. So how do I get that Monk out of cycle? Well, a good way is to get the AQ in the opposite lane, but then, as we saw, didn't really come together or come to fruition the way that Ruben thought. So we've played 2 best of 5s with these guys, or I should say we're in the middle of the second best of 5 with these guys, and they are 1-1 currently, and the Suspicious Bush comes out for the first time today on Sunday.
All right, Mega Knight, Suspicious Bush, Tourist with some Hog Earthquake. We'll see. We did see this deck kind of struggle yesterday on day 1, mainly because Suspicious Bush ended up being the only Wing Edition. We'll see if Ruben has maybe a Miner or a Goblin Drill or maybe even an extra set of Wall Breakers or something to make this happen. Wow.
Yeah, wall breaker, something we have not seen a lot of at all this weekend, only maybe twice.
What's happening here? I mean, Tourist just, I guess, really good defense. Maybe Ruben is too aggressive. And no Mega Knight in cycle, no Ghost in cycle, of course. So we see a really, really solid connection for Tourist.
29-59, Tourist lowest tower. Ruben, as Juicy was just talking about, takes a lot of damage early on. 1498 on his remaining tower as he cycles a Suspicious Bush in the back.
Gosh, and this is really not what you want to do versus this deck, especially with this Mega Knight. I think we once again had a kind of similar matchup yesterday where it was Royal Hog's Delivery versus Mega Knight, and the Royal Hogs player got a nice early connection. They defended most of the game. It looks like they were going to win, but they ended up losing because they didn't have a tank for the Mega Knight. But in this situation, Tourist has a boss band of his own. I think that's going to really make this early damage lead really hard for Ruben to come back from.
Yeah, not only does he have the boss bandit, but he's also got the goblins, which is, it's always great for you guys that don't know, is if you have a tank or something that can take out that initial either leap or hit from the MK and then surround it with swarm units. It's a great way to keep him at bay and get some good damage in. I know it's pretty obvious for those of us that play a ton, but for some people I know they struggle a lot against Mega Knight, and we're seeing that partially in play right now as Tourist cleans up the Mega Knight from behind.
Yeah, that is the one problem with the boss man, even though it is a solid tank compared to the delivery. Since it's a champ, you only can have one boss bandit played on the board at a time, and once it dies, you still have to cycle 3 more cards to get back to it. So, seemingly still struggling versus the Mega Knight. Although this Firecracker is providing a lot of value on offense, I think that Tourist still wins this as long as he can really defend against this last couple push.
Yeah, good job there. Barely sneaks away with it. Does end up using the piggies this time to kite away, which was a necessary move. Double firecrackers down. A lot of arrow value there. And now Tourist could be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, the leap is there, which means the Mega Knight's going on tower.
You're right. Mega Knight on tower. Mother Witch on tower. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's solid defense, and the Evo Firecracker cleans the rest. Now Tourist just needs 2 more Earthquakes to win.
Yeah, quick little panic button there. Tourist is able to come out on top. Now we see Ruben going hyper aggressive, needs to win the game now. Tourist knows, just needs to cycle back around real quickly. There's 1, 2, there's 3. Now the Earthquake coming down, and we are going to game number 4 with Tourist.
I mean, I feel like he does have a lot of options as well when it comes to cycle decks. Yep, there we go. Log bait it is. Maybe double log bait here, mirror matchup.
Yeah, and I really do like the log bait call here from Tourist, and I actually really like the bomber there from Ruben, maybe thinking about swarm units.
Okay, Tesla gonna drop down, take out the Dark Gob once it comes in the range while it's underground. The other interesting thing is, if I'm not wrong, I don't actually remember. Like, I don't know if either player actually has the option for log or bar barrel. So that's going to make this matchup really aggressive.
They don't. Both players are out. Yeah, both players have used log and bar barrel, and Ruben has also used arrows and delivery.
Yeah, it makes sense why both players using bait here, and it also makes sense to see some snowballs. Snowballs are going to be fine for defending barrel when there's not a tank, but when there is, it's going to be a big problem.
Really nice defense there from Ruben. High Bomber takes out the spears. Fire Spirit to take out the short thrown barrel.
Okay, Goblin Drill actually, not Goblin Barrel from Ruben. Valkyrie though from Tourist. Yeah. Nice play here. Valkyrie, great counter to the drill. The big thing that he's going to have to watch out for though is the Evo Snowball. So the Evo Snowball is going to drop down that Valk, and with no log or bar barrel, the Goblins are going to be able to get some nice damage in. I think that gives Ruben a solid advantage, especially with that Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit's great for dealing with barrel when you don't have log.
So if you're Ruben, do you go barrel plus poison first once we get deeper in, because then it makes you pull the Valkyrie and then you go Evo Snowball? Is that maybe the most aggressive sequencing, or is there a better way that you would attack, knowing that Valkyrie and Goblin Gang is most likely going to be the 2 ways that your opponent's always responding to your barrel, or excuse me, your drill?
Right. I think, honestly, I just don't see how Tourist is defending against the Goblin Drill Poison Evo Snowball. So
Yeah.
I think if Ruben's able to make that play happen, there's the Snowball, second Snowball. Evo Snowball will be in cycle next. He's definitely going to make some plays, especially with the Evo Valk out of cycle. Tourist is up damage for now, but it's going to be tough. But here comes the Evo Barrel. Wow.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
Nice Fire Spirit, but a lot of damage.
A lot of damage, but he uses it also the Evo Snowball on defense. So now this play that we've been, hyping up for this entire 2 minutes of the starting match here is just, it's not even possible. So really well played from Tourist, continuing to apply a lot of pressure right now.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point that you make, because now all of a sudden we have to add in another like 30, 40 seconds of gameplay to get back to that snowball. So really, really great way for Tourist there to kind of delay what he knows is the scariest thing for him to deal with. Now a regular drill, I mean, they're all regular drills going to come in, but no Evo Snowball in hand. So regular Snowball comes in, but obviously Valkyrie is there. One Goblin does get on tower, but damage done in the opposite direction. Remember, guys, if Tourist wins this, he will win this first set of upper bracket finals. He will take this best of 5, but because he has already given a life to Ruben, they will go to the upper bracket grand finals reset. 2 best of 5s back to back, 3 best of 5s total.
Yeah, this is
between
looking
these 2 players.
Really grim for Ruben right now. He's just not making the perfect plays that you need in order to win this matchup. I mean, we talked about the World Finals. Logbait is just so good at applying pressure and forcing your opponent to make mistakes, and it's even more difficult to really lock in and play perfect when you're on a stage like this, and you can see it already. The Dark Ob's locked. It's pretty much over. Maybe Ruben has one last chance here with a double Dark Ob, double Bomber, Goblin Drill, another Drill and Cycle, Snowball on defense, Fire Spirit to clean. One more Snowball, I believe, should win the game, though. So Tourist just needs to defend and delay and wait for that to happen.
Yep, nice job there from Tourist, making sure that he still gets value out of that Valkyrie, doesn't get taken away.
And now we have one final best of 5. The best of 3s of best of 5s, if you will. The third best of 5 between these players. And, yeah, this is it. This is for all the marbles for the CRL warm-up.
The best of 3 of the best of 5s. I love that. And it's our production team doing a great job. Clint, our producer, in our ear all day, helping us out all weekend. You can see the graphics just cleaned up. Love those graphics on the far right-hand side. 5 empty spots. You only need 3 of them to walk home with the prize and bragging rights. And Tourist, as Juicy just said, doing a great job in his 3rd best of 3 or his 2nd best of 3 against Ruben. And hey, you know that guy. You're a fan of that guy. Juicy,
First
the other day
E-Giant.
in your stream, you were saying my toxic trait is that anytime the meta changes, I think that E-Giant is back. And usually you stop playing E-Giant within the first couple days. Is E-Giant back right now or not?
E-Giant's not bad in the current meta. It's just, the big problem with it is that it's hard to find good Evos to go with it. Tourist gonna pair it with the Evo Knight and the Evo Skeletons here and the Bowler. It's not bad, but I do like Ruben's Evos a little bit more. I think the Evo Bomber is decent, but the Evo Snowball has a lot of oomph. This being said, once again, for some reason, Tourist is just so good at predicting when this deck is going to come out. Ruben starting a couple best of 5s now with this deck, and Tourist just ready to go. He's got the Bowler, he's got the E-Giant. There's no big spell, and Goblin Hunt is not very good versus E-Giant either.
Yeah, you don't get that initial damage that you really need, and then as the E-Giant gets closer, obviously the reflection and the damage done eats through that hut, eats through the Spear Goblins on the ground, and now we see full send opposite lane.
Wow.
Nice Evo Snowball there.
Yeah, this is
Evo Skellies.
This is a lot of damage coming through just because Tourist played the Boulder in the back. That's definitely something you never want to do when you're going against Drill. I've lost so many games just playing a Bowler in the back. It's not like Golden Ideas where you can make that play.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You know, just 1 elixir more, and obviously the amount of defensive utility the Bowler provides. Being out of cycle and being punished for it is Tourist, 2071 to 2971.
I like the lane switch here. Evo Bomber to the bridge. He does play Skeletons in time and the Knight as well. Make sure there is no damage. And here comes a Lightning. in the tower, the Gobstein, as well as that Gob Hut. And we see an offensive Gob Hut to make sure there's no damage from the Goblin Stein. A lot of Goblin cards.
Yeah. Good job navigating that tongue twister there, as the high Gob Hut doesn't do quite what Tourist wanted offensively, but got the job done defensively. Obviously would have loved to get a couple of those goblins on tower, maybe even those goblins keeping that baby dragon alive long enough to get a baby dragon belch on tower, but instead takes 3 lightning fast strikes from that berserker, 1765 to 2707. And you know, Juicy, you're very good at not giving up till the end, which is something that you have to do, obviously at the highest level, but something you really have to do with E-Giant. The amount of times that I've won or seen you or other players win with E-Giant in the final 20 seconds of triple elixir.
Yeah.
But is there a way to really break through? I mean, what would you be thinking right now? When you're streaming, you always have that consciousness, okay, this is happening. How do I break through? Is there a good way to do it right now against Ruben?
I think the biggest way is to do what he's doing right now and just stack boulders. Boulder is the most difficult card for Ruben to deal with. Baby Drag does good as well, so he's doing a great job of playing boulders. He's going for the E-Giant now. The boulder takes out the Hut. It's so good versus Hut and versus Tombstone. Evo Snowball is in cycle to try to delay, but now here comes the E-Giant. Double boulder Baby Drag push with 30 seconds left on the clock.
And a very odd set of Evo Skellies at the bridge right-hand lane against the Princess Tower. Not really sure what that was all about, but Tourist does get to tower, does get shots in, does get a bowler shot, 1245, 1765, as he has just screamed into the lead. And now Ruben fighting in these final 10 seconds. Not going to happen with the bowler there. You know that there's another lightning in tow, and Tourist takes game number 1 after taking 3 in a row against Ruben in the previous best of 5.
Wow. GG's. I mean, honestly, I was so impressed with Ruben's defense at the end there.
While it didn't work out, obviously, you see that it didn't hurt Tourist by losing his evolution, even though they're just the 1 elixir Skellies. So just something to think about at home. I find myself in that position a lot. I don't know if you do, Juice, because you are so advanced. You do? Okay. Yeah. I was curious.
I honestly thought you were calling me out.
No. I'm just kidding. That's all me, man.
I find myself in that situation a lot, especially with the Evil Ike Spear. It's like, man, I really don't want to play this card. I know it has such great defensive capabilities, but man, it's really stuck in my cycle, and I need to get to my Hog Rider. And sometimes that's just what you gotta do: play at the bridge and get back to the more important cards for the matchup.
Tombstone plus Skelly King going up against Piggy's EQ. Already not looking super great for Ruben when you think about all the easy ways to respond to the swarm, but only 2 cards revealed.
Yeah, so Roll Hog's Earthquake versus most likely Skelly King Roll Giant Evo Witch. This is interesting. I think that you're right. You would rather have a Monk in this matchup than a Skeleton King, although there is a Lightning for the Archer Queen, and the Evo Witch maybe can pop off, get some work done if he's able to protect it correctly.
And curious about what the last card is going to be for Tourist. Juicy, do you think he's going to be wanting for a tank?
My guess, oh man, my guess is it's got to be a cycle card, probably either skeletons, goblins, maybe guards. Yeah, you're right. Maybe guards would be the ideal since they're kind of spell resistant, similar to a tank.
So AQ at the bridge. Tombstone to distract. A log looking for something small, like an E-Spirit, but Earthquake comes out on the Tombstone. No harm, no foul.
Evo Cannon going to drop the Skelly King down to 1 HP. Evo Ice Spirit ready for defense as well. Ruben has already just given up on this and immediately setting up for another RG in the back. And this is the patience that you always talk about with really good Roll Giant players, where you're just waiting, you're getting your Evos in cycle, you're waiting for a mistake or just one moment where you can really make that perfect attack with a couple predictions to break through.
And great call there on the guards, Juice. It really felt like we had talked a lot about this Piggy's versions of decks this weekend that did not have a tank and really hurt because of it, and now we have a good enough tank. The delivery, the Ice Spirit, and the guards should suffice, especially because we have such a fast cycle.
I wonder if I'll see Skelly King ability here. No, once again, just patience from Ruben. He's down a lot of damage though. I mean, that's the thing with decks like this, where it's like, how much patience is too much patience? He's gonna make the attack though. He's got the Evo RG, and he's got the regular RG on the right. He has the Evo Witch still alive. RG does get one hit. Delivery dropped down. RG with another hit.
Wow.
And we see a Fisherman Bridge. I'm assuming a Skelly King ability here, but still great defense from Tourist.
Yeah, really nice cleanup there from Tourist. Looked a little scary for a second, but he does seem to have all the answers. 24-38 to 14-19. 80 seconds remaining here in overtime of our game 2 of our second best of 5 between these two players. Remember, this, as Juicy said, is for all the marbles. This is a $4,500 best of 5.
RG in the back once again. Ruben knows that he needs a double roll giant high pressure push in order to break through, but Tourist with the high queen preventing lightning value. Earthquake chipping away. Now Fisherman gonna try to pull the queen, but immediate ability. Good stuff from Tourist. It's on Ruben here to make the push to break through.
Yeah, so curious if he can do it. You see there the RG cycled in the back, really looking at and knowing his time frame. You know that he's got just enough time to get 2 RGs down. He's not going to make that mistake. So first RG works down the right hand side, second RG down the left. Evo on the right.
No lightning.
Lightning high?
I thought he was going to lightning the cannon and the queen. I think it's a big missed opportunity. And that Archer Queen ability pops and takes out absolutely everything. And maybe that might be the only opportunity he had.
Maybe now he can get an RG down in time right-hand lane? Yeah, maybe. There is a cannon. He does have the elixir for lightning, but...
Oh my gosh.
Just like you called, Juice. Just not enough time. Missed the lightning earlier. Huge missed opportunity. And as you said, you got to be patient, but you can't be too patient. Beautifully played and defended by Tourist.
Yeah, I mean, just perfect defense all around, even to the very final second.
Times have I practiced any of these matchups? How many times have I even played with this deck construction specifically? And I guess we're about to see right now if Ruben and his team can pull off a miracle against Tourist.
Lava Tourist is 2-0 so far with Lava decks. We'll see if he can go 3-0 and kind of cement Lava as a viable deck to be played in CRL. But Ruben with the Executioner, he's ready to go.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that Ruben has a good response. We've seen, as you said, Lava run 3 times. And Ruben, ready for it. You can see right there the look on Tourist's face, just going, oh my gosh. All right, you've got the Inferno. I mean, excuse me, you've got the Executioner. Whew, this is going to be a little bit of a struggle. Then the Inferno comes out on top of the Flying Machine. You know that Ruben's just going for minor chip damage, and Tourist has got to feel sick to his stomach.
Yeah, the other thing here is that I believe Ruben is going to end up having a balloon, so Tourist is going to have 2 win conditions that he's going to have to deal with while trying to break through an Executioner plus Inferno with only a zap and probably another small spell. I don't think... Yeah, he already used Lightning with E-Giant, so maybe as a Fireball, but even Fireball is not enough to break through that very tanky Inferno tower.
Wow, and really aggressive is Ruben right now. He goes, pulls that all forward in front of the tower, gets some Xe shots in, gets that Executioner protected just enough to get another couple shots in, and now bringing this tower below 1500 HP, where Tourist is barely ticking to 5 elixir, and no damage basically done on his opponent's towers.
Even elixir now. I would not be surprised to see Tourist switching lanes, but he has to defend first. There it is. He went for the Valk. He was going to maybe play a balloon, but yeah, I mean, the balloon is just perfectly timed from Ruben there.
Yeah, really, really great. Forcing your opponent to use elixir they don't want to. So now we see Tourist set up in the opposite lane. Just probably going to... Oh, he doesn't eat the miner. And the NATO to the... I love it. I love everything that I'm seeing Ruben do right now because, you know, it might look or feel a little aggressive or unnecessary, but he's just taking away all the options that his opponent has. Right. Now with the Evo Valk, I mean, this is just so beautifully put together.
Yeah, now the Executioner drops and just cleans the rest. And that's just going to get the Evo back in cycle as well. Not to mention the King Tower activation on the first play of the game versus the Miner. He's really cooking here. If Tourist wins this game, I will be astonished to say the least.
I mean, this is one of the few 100 zeros it feels like we've seen this weekend. We've seen some 80-20s, maybe even some 90-10s, but like, there's no way. There's no way to play through this.
Surely not. But Tourist will try. Nonetheless, he's trying to make a dual lane pressure to not give the Executioner Evo too much value. He's trying to snipe the Flying Machine with the Inferno Tower. But the Executioner Evo, it's locked. It's going to one-shot all these level ups on the way back.
So
and the
satisfying.
Inferno Tower is just cleaning everything up. This is really solid plays.
And Tourist is doing what you have to do in this moment. He's laughing. He's laughing it off. He's like, okay, I got caught. I ran the deck that I've been the most successful with this weekend. And I'm the only person that's been regularly going to Lava Hound. It's okay. You can't get in your head now. You're still up 2 games. You got a 100-0 matchup. You had Goblin Curse for some reason. and here we go. Moving on to game number 4.
Top of the most strong Evos currently. The Evo Witch is available for Tourist, and Ruben doesn't have an availability for Lightning. So that could be something we see here from Tourist to try to just finalize this last game.
Evo Knight out early. Fire Spirit opposite lane. Fire Spirit, Heal Spirit, Mega Minion. First Mega Minion we've seen all weekend.
Lumberjack on the board and a Bomber. So Tourist is going to be playing a Boss Bandit Giant Heal Spirit kind of just mini beatdown deck. I actually really like this deck. And it's... Wow, wait, I just have to stop talking for a second because there goes old Ruben's Elixir. The Boss Bandit on the tower. Great start from Tourist already. Wow.
Wow, yeah. Ruben still down 2 Elixir. No offensive counter push and a rough way to start another game back up against the wall.
And that is the power of the Boss Bandit, especially when that Knight is not in cycle. I mean, I don't know. I'd probably have to watch that back. I think that maybe the Queen just not the right option there. Maybe his cycle was just really bad, or at least you gotta try to get the ability off. I don't know. That was just a really tough situation.
Yeah. I'm sitting here kind of watching it back, and I don't know what the plan is there. If he doesn't have anything else on the ground, he had to cycle back to goblins to stop it, right? Which means that those other cards that he has is not what he needs to defend a Boss Bandit.
And here comes the Giant. Tourist going to try to continue his Elixir lead to even more damage lead. Archer Queen ability does drop this time, and we see a Hog in the other lane. But the problem is this Evo Lumberjack will take out the entire tower. So I guess Ruben going for a tower trade in this situation. Maybe the Knight can pull this back. It does, but the Evo Bomber's in cycle 2 to get 2 shots on tower.
Wow. And now we just need to see, can Tourist keep his composure? That's all he needs to do at this moment. Does take another hog hit. Don't love the overspend there and still taking the hit, but really not any other options when you look at the 8 cards available for Tourist, and that's going to be a lot of the story moving forward, I think. I mean, he's got to... I guess the Lumberjack is probably a better option. And then you see Boss Bandit cycle down that lane. 431 remains on that left-hand tower, but remember, no big spells in hand for Tourist. We're talking a couple arrows, few rages, and that's a lot of work to get done late game. So see how this unfolds.
Evo Cannon in the middle, Evo Knight inside for the Boss Bandit. He has to make sure this Lumberjack doesn't reach his tower, and the Hog Rider is going to get a hit, maybe 2.
Wow.
No, just 1. Very close. All of a sudden we got a game, Andrew.
Yeah, this is insane. I mean, Ruben really proving what exactly you were talking about, which is that he can really do it against anyone, anytime with the comebacks.
Oh my gosh.
It's getting close. Bomber? No.
Ooh.
Wow.
Hog inbound? What does Tourist have for defense? He's got a Boss Bandit dashing and a Mega Minion. The Hog does get the hit. Earthquake doesn't do it. He needs 2 to win.
Yeah. And so you see the aggressive Giant at the bridge, Queen in the opposite lane, knowing that Boss Bandit will take the tower, making him spend a lot. Not going to be able to get 2 Earthquakes out right now. Needs a perfect defense first, and then the first Earthquake cycled. That's really nice. AQ going to kite. Hog Rider goes in, and Juicy, you see it on his face. You see it on his face. We're going to game 5.
Oh I mean, at least just the grand finals, I think it would be amazing. But I do love this format of, you know, the upper bracket, lower bracket, and grand finals being best of 5. It's just a little bit extra. I don't know. I feel like it also just puts a little bit less variance too. You know, it's just really the best will win this.
I mean, there's a reason why when you get into playoffs in a lot of sports or in championships, you know, specifically right now, because it is basketball season, playoff season, it is tennis season, you know, they go to these long series for a reason. The best of 5s, best of 7s in baseball, you know, best of 5s in championship matches in tennis and stuff. There is a reason for that. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's the same reason we brought in duels, the variability, the rock, paper, scissors, all that. It's pretty hard to lean on that after 5 games in a row.
Ghost in the back. Monk at the bridge from Tourist. Tourist using a log bait here. And Ruben having to get creative here with the Void once again. Is the last set. And maybe even a Royal Giant. I don't know. No, I don't know. He already used Royal Giant. So I'm not really sure what kind of win condition we're going to see Ruben using here.
Ram Rider. Okay, I was like, what pairs? Well, he already used Balloon. He already used RG. And yeah, Ram Rider makes sense.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That does make some sense. Tourist with a Snowball. That's a great card for dealing with the Ram Rider as well. Wait.
Ram Rider gets good damage on that right-hand side. And we see good damage coming in on the left. And Tourist doesn't really have any elixirs. So some major mismanagement early on here in Game 5.
Skelly's in the middle, Monk at the bridge. And here comes the Evil Barrel in cycle already. Wow, it's a quick cycle.
And no elixir in the tank for Ruben.
Wow.
Huge. Tourist takes the lead there, 1852, 1909. Needs the Goblins surround, but instead goes to the side to get the Tesla involved. Then we get a high Monk ability. Dark Goblin perfectly placed to clean up those archers.
Okay, Void dropping down to the Dark Gob, a Mother Witch in the back. Ruben up a solid amount of damage, and based on Tourist deck, I don't think that he has, maybe he might have a big spell. Honestly, it could be a big spell last card here. That could be a difference maker.
Right, and there it is. Great call, Juicy. Fireball comes out.
Void dropping down, cleaning out the Dark Gob. Princess on the board. I mean, he's trying to like keep a good pressure, but the Evo Snowball with the barrel. Now that is a combo I haven't seen before.
That was huge. Evo Snowball with the barrel. Goblin still on top of the tower. Monk was taking that entire time. Evo Skellies get taken out by the Princess in tow from Tourist, and that was just a massive blow. There's the fireball. Ladies and gentlemen, Tourist